Before any evil existed, and long before humans walked the earth, the heavens were filled with infinite goodness. Every angel shone brightly with immense light, and each one felt deep respect and love for their Father, the Creator of all things. But among all these magnificent beings, one stood out more than the rest: Lucifer. He was the epitome of perfection, full of wisdom and beauty. Lucifer was the most intelligent, the most powerful, and the most honorable angel in the heavens. Everyone admired him. He was God's masterpiece, the first being sculpted by his mighty hand. God took great joy in creating Lucifer, granting him powers unmatched by any other angel. Lucifer wasn't just beautiful, he was a natural leader. His charisma was magnetic, and his presence inspired respect and devotion among his fellow angels. He organized the heavenly choirs, leading praises to the Creator with passion and fervor. His voice was like a guiding flame, illuminating their songs and prayers. Despite his perfection, Lucifer was not immune to flaws. Initially, he was blameless, serving God faithfully. But over time, something began to change within him. A tiny spark of pride started to grow. Lucifer began to wonder, what if my light could shine even brighter? What if my glory didn't always have to serve another? These were small, almost unnoticed thoughts, but like seeds, they took root in his heart. Lucifer started to imagine himself on a higher throne, being praised more than ever before. With each passing day, these thoughts grew stronger, feeding his pride and ambition. While heaven remained a place of perfect harmony, Lucifer became more distant. His once radiant light began to dim, replaced by shadows of doubt and resentment. The other angels noticed his change. He became introspective and enigmatic, often lost in thought. Gabriel, one of the loyal archangels, approached him one day. "Lucifer, brother," Gabriel said gently, "what burden weighs on your heart? Your light seems restless." Lucifer looked at Gabriel and replied, "There are things even we cannot understand, dear Gabriel." Gabriel felt a chill of unease but didn't press further. Lucifer, however, continued to withdraw from his duties. His voice, once leading the heavenly choir, grew silent. The other angels felt his absence deeply, as if a star had vanished from the night sky. God, sensing the change in Lucifer, decided to address him directly. In a moment of sacred silence, he called Lucifer alone. His voice was like a deep river, filled with love and patience. "Lucifer, my son, the seal of perfection, I sense your thoughts straying from me. Ideas are growing in your heart that separate you from the eternal." Lucifer, with a serene glow, responded, "Father, didn't you create me to understand and explore? There's nothing I desire more than to comprehend the depth of your work. Do you think that's wrong, God?" God's sadness was profound but contained within his infinite patience. "Your desire to understand is noble, but your thoughts are becoming self-centered. You've been seduced by the light I placed within you. You forget that this light is a reflection of my love, not your own source." Lucifer lowered his gaze, feeling a fire of incomprehension and pride burning within. "My Lord, I have wanted nothing that isn't yours. My light is the gift you gave me. How could I turn away from you if I was made by your own will?" God looked at Lucifer with infinite tenderness, understanding the fragility of the freedom he had given. "Son, remember where all light comes from. Don't let your heart be shrouded in shadows. If you turn to me, your splendor will grow in truth, and together we will be even greater than any solitary thought." But instead of feeling peace, Lucifer felt a sting to his pride, a discomfort he couldn't fully comprehend. Didn't God trust your ability to remain faithful? Why so many warnings, he thought, withdrawing with a bow. Inside, however, an invisible distance was growing. His desire to understand and explore continued to consume him, pulling him away from his devotion to God. God, in his infinite mercy, gave Lucifer another chance. He delayed a great revelation that was to test every celestial being, especially Lucifer. God wanted to allow Lucifer time to grow in humility and strengthen his loyalty. "My son," God spoke tenderly, "a great revelation approaches. When it comes, the winds will be strong, and the tensions in your heart will be intense, like a storm tearing through the sky. You must prepare yourself, root yourself in obedience, for the test will be great." Lucifer listened sincerely. He knelt before God, gazing with devotion. "Father, whatever the test may be, I desire to obey your commands. I cannot promise I'll be perfectly faithful, but I swear my desire is to be loyal. My heart still burns with your love." These words were genuine, but deep within, the seed of pride continued to grow. Lucifer felt special and unique among the angels. "Am I not the one who shines most brightly?" he thought silently. God, patient and loving, postponed the revelation once more, giving Lucifer more time to seek humility. "Lucifer, this test will not be easy," God reminded him. "Even when it seems the wind carries you away, remember your origin and your essence. All light comes from me." Lucifer's temptation mirrored the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. God had created an earthly paradise for humanity, a place of peace and love. In the midst of the garden stood the tree of knowledge of good and evil, a symbol of their freedom and ability to choose. The serpent, representing Lucifer, approached Eve with seductive words. "Did God really say, 'You must not eat from any tree in the garden'?" he whispered. "You will be like God, knowing good and evil." This whisper planted a seed of doubt and desire within Eve. It wasn't an overwhelming force, but a subtle suggestion, turning a simple desire into an irresistible need. Adam and Eve, tempted by the possibility of being more, disobeyed their Creator. With their fall, the world descended into the shadow of sin. Lucifer, seeing this opportunity, achieved his goal to separate creation from its creator and bring the celestial conflict into the human heart. As time passed, Lucifer's internal struggle intensified. His pride and desire for glory overshadowed his love and devotion to God. One day, during the unveiling of God's grand plan to create a material universe, Lucifer could no longer contain his resentment. "I will ascend to the heavens," Lucifer declared. "I will raise my throne above the stars of God." With those words, rebellion erupted in heaven, peace shattered like fragile glass. Jesus, in a powerful testimony, declared, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." Lucifer was cast into the abyss, banished from the light that had been his home. His glory faded, and his splendor was buried in darkness. The morning star was cut down, the bright celestial body extinguished. Heaven, though still filled with light, was forever scarred by his betrayal. As Lucifer's rebellion took root, the faithful archangel Michael stood firm against him. Lucifer had rallied many of the most beautiful and powerful angels to his cause, forming an army driven by ambition and pride. Michael, though smaller in rank, possessed unmatched purity and strength. Amid the celestial assembly, Lucifer addressed his followers with conviction. "Don't you realize this is a mistake? God asks us to worship an inferior form, to bend our knees before mortal flesh. This isn't glory, it's humiliation. We, who were made of pure light, should occupy a higher place." His words sowed doubt among many angels, who began to question their purpose and the demands placed upon them. But Michael's voice rose above the turmoil, clear and unwavering. "Who is like God?" This simple, powerful declaration pierced through the rebellion like a sword. Michael reminded the angels of their true origin and purpose. "No one can rival the Creator, not even the morning star," he affirmed. His words awakened something deep within them, rekindling their faith and loyalty to God. Lucifer, now feeling both anger and humiliation, confronted Michael. "You are arrogant," Michael stated calmly yet forcefully. "Your light has become a shadow, trying to eclipse the Creator. Can't you see? It's your pride that elevates you beyond your own being." Lucifer could not withstand the weight of Michael's truth and love. The once radiant morning star could not bear the realization of his own corrupted pride. With a heart full of rage and shame, he turned away, his rebellion exposed and his pride shattered. The celestial war between Lucifer's rebel army and Michael's faithful angels reached its climax. Heaven, once a place of peace and harmony, became a dazzling battlefield, a war of light against shadow, of loyalty against rebellion. The armies clashed with fury, each blow shaking the very foundations of heaven. Lucifer, cloaked in darkness, led his forces with relentless determination, while Michael fought with unwavering faith and humility. The battle was fierce, with light swords clashing against shadows, creating flashes that lit up the heavens like shooting stars. Despite the fallen angels' formidable power, the faithful angels, guided by love and loyalty to God, stood strong. Michael's faith was his shield, his loyalty his weapon. With each step forward, the faithful angels felt the Creator's presence, giving them strength beyond any earthly force. In the end, the power of good prevailed. Michael raised his sword high and declared, "By God's power, fall, Lucifer." In that moment, darkness split under the weight of the rebellion. The fallen angels were cast out, plummeting from the sky like banished meteors. Lucifer, now Satan, was hurled into the abyss, marking the end of his rebellion. Heaven fell into a solemn silence, mourning the loss but reaffirming the eternal truth. Good always triumphs over evil, not by force or violence, but because goodness is the very essence of God. Pride, hatred, and ambition may fight fiercely, but they are fleeting shadows against the purity of love and faithfulness. Banished from heaven, Lucifer, now Satan, felt the full weight of his fall. Separated from God, he existed in a realm of chaos and darkness, a shattered dream, a dark reflection of heavenly order. This eternal exile was more than a punishment. It was an act of divine justice, maintaining the balance between God's infinite love and justice. Lucifer's mission shifted from seeking his own glory to corrupting God's creation. His hatred transformed into a desire to sabotage the divine work and darken the lives of humans. He sought to infiltrate the human heart, inciting pride, envy, and despair, the very feelings that had led to his own downfall. Satan's mission was clear. If he couldn't attain God's glory, he would destroy it wherever he found it. From the abyss, he turned his gaze toward creation, the material world God had promised to make. He devised plans to corrupt humanity, believing that if humans couldn't be in God's presence, they shouldn't deserve it either. This led him to target the very essence of what God had created: love, goodness, and faith. The idea of seeing humans made in God's image dragged into darkness gave him bitter satisfaction. Humans were the ones who had stolen his place at God's throne. That love, that goodness with which they were created, would become the target of his hatred. His motivation was clear. If he and his fallen angels couldn't be in God's presence, then humans shouldn't deserve it either. This hatred and resentment transformed into a mission, a deep desire to sabotage the divine work and corrupt the purity of creation. Lucifer's expulsion and his army of fallen angels had a direct consequence on the balance of good and evil in the world. From that moment, evil began to exist, not just as an absence of goodness, but as an active and organized force. The demons, led by Satan, began to seek ways to exert their influence over the material world, to corrupt humans, to incite pride, envy, and despair, the very feelings that had led to their own downfall. God, in his love and justice, allowed this separation. The expulsion was not just a punishment, but an act of divine justice. The angels who had chosen rebellion, who had rejected God's love and holiness, could no longer dwell in his presence. God's love was always there, but his justice demanded balance. Those who had decided to reject the light could not continue to bask in it. In this act, the equilibrium between God's love and justice was perfectly manifested. Justice required separation, and love still granted the fallen ones the freedom to exist, albeit in a darkness of their own choosing. The story of Lucifer, now Satan, does not end with his expulsion, but rather extends into the relationship between good and evil in the world today. His fall, his hatred, and his desire to corrupt humanity remain present in every temptation, in every spiritual battle that humans face. Evil seeks to infiltrate the human heart, its freedom, its desire for greatness. But this influence is limited, and good, which comes from God, always has the final say. The battle between good and evil that began in heaven continues on earth in the hearts of human beings. Satan and his demons strive to lead humanity astray, but God's light remains invincible. One of the most significant events illustrating Satan's ongoing influence is found in the New Testament when Satan tempts Jesus in the desert. After 40 days and 40 nights of fasting, Jesus is confronted by Satan, who offers him temptations of power, food, and glory. First, Satan says, "If you are the Son of God, tell these stones to become bread." He challenges Jesus to use his divine power for personal gain. Jesus responds by quoting scripture, "Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of God." This rejection shows Jesus' unwavering faith and obedience to God. Next, Satan takes Jesus to the pinnacle of the temple and suggests that he throw himself down, claiming that angels will protect him and thus demonstrate his power. Jesus replies, "You shall not put the Lord your God to the test." Here Jesus emphasizes trust in God without demanding miraculous signs. Finally, Satan offers Jesus all the kingdoms of the world in exchange for worship. "All this I will give you," he says, "if you will bow down and worship me." Jesus firmly rejects this, declaring, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, 'Worship the Lord your God and serve him only.'" This final refusal underscores that true power and glory belong to God alone. This episode, more than a mere confrontation, exemplifies how faith and humility can withstand even the most alluring temptations. Jesus demonstrates that true power lies not in miracles or wealth, but in obedience and love for God. Another poignant story of Satan's influence is the testing of Job in the book of Job. Satan appears before God with a mix of arrogance and defiance, making an accusation, "Does Job fear God for nothing?" He suggests that Job's faithfulness is solely due to the blessings and protection he has received from God. To prove his point, God allows Satan to inflict suffering upon Job. Job faces immense pain, loss, and despair. Despite his suffering, Job remains steadfast in his faith, refusing to curse God. This unwavering loyalty demonstrates that true faith is not dependent on external blessings, but is deeply rooted in the soul. Satan's attempt to destroy Job's faith fails, and Job's endurance becomes an eternal testament to resisting evil and trusting in God. Moreover, Satan's first major act after being cast out was in the Garden of Eden, the place where God, with his infinite love, had set the stage for human history. In that perfect garden, Lucifer saw a chance to strip the innocence from the first humans, Adam and Eve, and turned them into the first victims of his rebellion against the Creator. Taking the form of a serpent, a symbol of cunning and betrayal, he approached Eve with words dripping with seduction and doubt. Did God really say, "You must not eat from any tree in the garden"? He began with a question, planting the seed of suspicion. His technique wasn't overwhelming force, but a whisper that, like poison, invaded and fed Eve's heart. Lucifer knew how to transform a simple desire into an irresistible need, how to turn doubt into action. "You will be like God, knowing good and evil." This promise sealed humanity's fate. Adam and Eve, tempted by the possibility of being more, of achieving divinity without obeying their Creator, fell. With their disobedience, the world fell into the shadow of sin. Lucifer, with a single temptation, achieved what he had planned. From the abyss, to separate creation from its creator, to bring the celestial conflict into the human heart. In the book of Revelation, Satan's ultimate fate is revealed. Portrayed as the great dragon, Satan is depicted as the ultimate adversary of God and humanity. Revelation describes a final battle during the end times, where Satan's influence reaches its peak. Despite his formidable power and deceptive tactics, Revelation assures that good will ultimately triumph. Revelation presents Satan as the great dragon, the ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. The same Lucifer who was once the morning star has now taken the form of a fierce dragon, a creature symbolizing not only evil, but also the destructive and deceptive power he has wielded since his fall. This ancient serpent is the same one who brought the first sin to humanity in Eden, and now, at the end of time, seeks to destroy all remaining goodness and light in the world. Revelation describes a period of tribulation, a time of great suffering and trials. Humanity is divided between those who follow God and those who succumb to evil seductions. Satan, the great deceiver, intensifies his efforts to corrupt and destroy creation. He is depicted as the accuser of our brothers and sisters, sowing doubt, temptation, and despair. In the final battle, Satan faces off against Michael and the heavenly armies once more. Despite his strength, Satan cannot overcome the purity and faith of the faithful angels. Michael, with his unwavering faith and humility, leads the charge against Satan's forces. Ultimately, Satan is defeated and cast into the lake of burning sulfur, a place of eternal punishment. This defeat symbolizes the eternal separation of good from evil. God's love and justice prevail, ensuring that evil cannot dominate or corrupt his creation. The final victory belongs to good, embodying truth, justice, and love. Revelation serves as a powerful reminder that no matter how strong evil appears, it is ultimately limited and will be vanquished by the enduring power of goodness. The defeat of Satan in Revelation holds profound meaning for humanity's history and destiny. This prophecy reminds us that although evil may seem formidable, its time is limited and its power pales in comparison to God's eternal nature. Good triumphs not only through strength, but because it embodies the very essence of truth, justice, and love. This final battle between good and evil symbolizes the divine promise of restoration and redemption for those who choose light over darkness.